Joined by our jury members who are spending hours and hours watching several films based on the category that they're in. And really the purpose of this event today is to give folks a backstage view into the process of being a jury member for a film festival. And just to, in a previous event, Chelsea Byers, our Director of Programs and Partnerships, she gave you an insight into how films are chosen for the Women's Voices Film Festival. We have a volunteer previewer committee that comes on in the fall when submissions start coming in. Then we go into the internal selection committee. And then once that is done, it goes to the jury who determines the cash prizes. What's really incredible about being part of a film festival jury is that you suddenly discover your people, that there are all these folks out in the world who equally love film and who are moved and watch a selection of films and it can be a haunting experience, and to find other people to talk about it with and to explore strengths and weaknesses and things that resonated with you, how film really taps into the pulse of life, of important issues, and helps us sort of navigate through the different things that we need to understand to help make the world a better place. And in our case, it's about women and girls' rights. It's very special when we're all able to come together. And as you also know, Women's Voices Now Film Festival is it is a global film festival, and we meet online so that we can really bring people from all corners of the globe together. And that is definitely the case today. We have jury members joining from India, from Europe, from the United States, from really all over the world. And I'm so grateful that everyone is taking a little bit of time to come together to answer some questions about the films that they watched this year, the process they've been going through, about the theme of the festival, and just to spend some time together, which is really nice because watching films alone can kind of be lonely. So here we are coming together. I would like now for all the jury members to turn their cameras on, and we will start introductions and getting to know everyone. Thank you. So welcome. And if you're not able to turn on your camera, that is okay. But I see everyone who is able to is here. So I'm so grateful. So I want everyone to go around, say, what is your name, where you're located, two sentences about yourself, what made you say yes to being a Women's Voices Now Festival jury member this year, and which jury are you serving on? Because in our festival, we have a feature documentary category, feature short, and the student category. So I'm going to start with Pulomi, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Paulomi. I'm based in New Delhi, India. And what made me say yes to this festival was that I was a jury member in 2022, and it was fascinating for me. And I'm as a jury member this year, I'm part of the feature documentary section. And a little bit about myself. I've been a women's rights developmental practitioner for 17 years in India, working on GBV issues, gender-based violence issues. I first heard about this festival when I was doing my postdoctoral studies in the US. And yeah, that's from me.
Thank you so much, Palomi. And again, for joining us. It's like the middle of the night for you. So we're really, really grateful. Nina, your turn.
Hello, I'm Nina Gielen. I'm joining from Astoria, Queens in New York, where it's freezing cold today. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a nonprofit arts administrator. I help run a filmmaker collective here in New York called Film Shop. We're focused on peer-to-peer mentorship and collaboration. It's a really great group. And I joined the jury because I would say I'm personally invested in fostering artists from underrepresented groups, female identifying, gender nonconforming filmmakers in particular. And I am part of the short documentary jury.
Thank you, Nina. And we're so lucky to have you with us, and stay warm. Ava, your turn.
My name is Eva Weitzman-Stangel. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. A little bit about me. I'm a student and a filmmaker. I've directed 3 short films that have been in over 20 festivals so far. I'm super passionate about making film accessible to people who might not know how to access it or how to start in their filmmaking process. And so that's one of the reasons why I said yes. I'm really into getting just budding filmmakers into the process. I've started my own film festival myself, so I just wanted to sort of add to that and join the jury to see how other people make films and how other people like to present their ideas to the world.
Thank you, Eva. It's so fun to learn all those things about you. So thanks for sharing them. Kendra, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Kendra Hodgson. I am the managing director at Women Make Movies, a nonprofit based in Midtown, and we have a similar mission in that we amplify and support the voices of women filmmakers and tell stories about women and film identifying people, and that is my passion. So that's both like what drives me and my work and my work in the world. And I love that Women's Voices Now is extending the reach and making films like that really widely accessible. So that's why I said yes. And I am calling in from Springfield, Massachusetts, where it is also very cold. And I'm excited to be a part of this. And I am on the feature doc.
Thank you, Kendra. And so we're honored to have you, truly. Yasmin, your turn.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Eftekar. I'm currently located in London in the UK. A bit about me. So I'm a psychology student. I'm namely passionate about poetry and humanitarianism. And personally, I think that my mission would be to help people, namely women and children, in some way, and either through humanitarianism, the arts, or through psychology. The reason why I said yes to being part of this Women's Voices Now festival jury is because I feel like the arts are a very powerful way to give women a platform to voice their stories and to bring changes to societies and the world. And I just wanted to be part of something that uplifted women and make their voices heard. And I'm part of the youth documentary jury.
Thank you, Yasmin. So glad that you found your way to Women's Voices Now. Maha, it is your turn.
Hi everyone, my name is Maha El Bukhari. I'm joining from Vancouver, BC. I'm an actor and I'm passionate about bringing diverse characters to life and telling stories that resonate with people on a deep emotional level. I'm joining the jury because I deeply believe in the power of storytelling to amplify women's voices and bring about positive change. And the jury I'm serving is the feature doc.
Thank you, Maha. I'm so glad to have you with us. It's been a long
Thank
time since
you.
we've seen each other, so it's nice to see you. Rachel, your turn.
Hello, so nice to meet all of you. I'm here in sunny Southern California. Um, I I'm a director. I'm a student filmmaker. I just made my first short film this past year, and I also just completed my internship with Women Voices Now, where I was able to dissect and really understand women's voices and understand our amazing, amazing stories. I'm a storyteller that enjoys bringing creativity to life, and I'm a part of this jury just because I believe that all of our stories are important, and I believe that filmmaking is a collaborative space, and I just enjoy the process and the art of it. It's so beautiful. And thank you so much.
I'm so glad you're with us, Rachel. It's good to see you. And Sarah, your turn.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I've been having some connectivity problems, so I hope that I stay live for while I'm talking. I'm in Berlin, Germany. I grew up in the States, and I feel like much of my life has been about crossing divisions between different groups. And so here I'm sort of in a bilingual, multi-cultural context. And I'm so honored to be part of this group, and it's so fun to get to meet everybody on the jury. And yeah, just a privilege to be part of it. I think that people telling their stories is really maybe, I don't know if it's the only way, but it's certainly a very powerful way for us to learn empathy and respect for people who are different from ourselves. And I just think that film is a really exciting medium, and always remains that way in all the different stories. There's so many stories that can be told. I'm a filmmaker myself. I've been making films for quite a few years. And every film that I saw, I'm in the short film section, and every film I saw was so unique and so, yeah, exciting and special. That yeah, it just feels like we're just in a wonderful sort of river of people's stories and identities and developing perspectives. That's a great gift.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm so grateful to all of you. I mean, different places, different perspectives, different professional backgrounds, different personal backgrounds. Uh, and all of this goes into when you're watching a film, right? Like, so it's so, what I want to say, in my experience of being on a festival jury, it's like films can stand on themselves, but what they speak to the different parts of us, that's sort of where the magic happens. And when you're able to connect with so many films, even if they're describing places and people that are very different and far away from us, that we have that universal connection, I think that's something that's really magical that comes through. And so I'm excited to hear more from all of you on how you experience the films. So my first question for all of you is, what are some of the strengths that you saw in this year's festival selection? So that could be production quality, uniqueness of the story, something unusual, creative that maybe, so Sarah just mentioned that everything was different and unique from each other, and they all came together in a beautiful river, which I thought that was a beautiful visual. So were you surprised by anything you saw in the films? Yeah, that's my question. So who wants to take that on? Just unmute yourself and go ahead, start speaking.
I just feel like this year's festival selection showcases like a remarkable diversity of voices and perspectives. I feel like it's highlighting both the unique challenges and powerful resilience of women across the globe. Like we think we're different, but we're absolutely not. And I'm particularly impressed by the authenticity and boldness of the stories, as well as the creative ways the filmmakers have used their craft to provoke thoughts and inspire actions and spark meaningful conversations.
Who else wants to add to that? Is there
Yeah,
anything great?
I would just use because Maha said boldness, and I had been thinking courage. I felt that a lot of the films were really courageous, and I found that very moving and inspiring. And not only in what they're talking about, but also in the way that they did it, that they were taking chances creatively and telling stories in their own way. And I love that, actually. And I think that's something special about this festival. I don't think you see that in all festivals. So I really appreciated having the chance to be in that culture and that space.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm just going to add that when I came into Women's Voices now in 2012, there had been one festival, and I was particularly taken by the creative category. I'd never really seen that in a film festival, and that's something organizationally we've gone back and forth. Do we keep the creative documentary? Do we not? And for me, I've always been the one to say absolutely yes, because it's like poetry, right? Like, so Yasmin, like, like a poem, you read a poem and you never really know the poet's intention when they wrote it, where they were, what they were experiencing, but we're supposed to extrapolate all this meaning from it. And somehow it gives you this, again, universal experience. And I feel like the creative documentaries are really special in that too. Like there's something for everyone when you watch them. And it's also good to kind of get out of our usual lens, it's just seeing things in a different way and understanding like the complexity of our minds, right? And how we understand the world and the problems in it and the experience of being women. So I love that category, and I'm glad. Thank you for recognizing that, Sarah. I really appreciate that. Anyone else want to take on that question? Some of the strengths that you see in this year's festival selection? Going once, Paloma, yes.
Yeah, So, I just wanted to share that I was really happy by the not only the issues which were discussed, like one really saw, also geographically the expanse of the film festival and how much it has grown since the last time I was there. So that was really, really very inspiring in a sense. Also, I felt that, what Maha mentioned about resilience, but for me it was also about dreams, aspirations, struggles, fight for freedom, rights, those kind of perspectives which were there, very political in a certain way. Also, the center might be a woman and her own struggle, but how do you actually link it to the larger movements, and question various forms of power. So for me, a lot, like in terms of even thematics, we are talking about militarism or disability rights, trans rights, abortion, adoption, art spaces, menstrual activism, so many things, just depicting women's agency, choice, voice, and really fascinating. Over from me.
Thank you. So I didn't put this down in the question, but just I'm hearing wonderful positive things and I'm asking a positive question, obviously. Was there anything missing? Was there anything that we didn't see or any voices that we didn't hear that I can take note of for when we're doing our outreach for the next festival cycle? Yeah, anything that was missing. And we can come back to it too. Kendra.
Well, I just spent the last couple days at the Real Abilities Industry Summit, and so I'm very cognizant of diversity of disabled representation, and I think that that could be something. I mean, there's some in there, but I think that that could be something that's integrated even more fully. But I loved what. And to come back to the positive again, like what Maha's just said what I wanted to say, but better. She articulated it better than I would have. But yeah, that I just think that it's both in your selection of what you chose and what the filmmakers brought to you to choose. So it's I think a curation praise as well as a filmmaking praise. But yeah, I think that some more diversity, and then it's so hard though, like when you're curating, you have to choose, when you choose to bring something in and you're gonna only have 30, what do we have, 32 feature docs, like you're always gonna have to choose to leave something else out. So you're bringing in, you will have to lose some of the geographic diversity if you center something else. So it's maybe just over time. Over time, it's not just in 1 year, you can't do it all.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it too, is that we really can only curate year by year. And yeah, the films are in conversation with each other, and when the majority of the films are having one conversation, if there's another film that's sort of bringing up another thread, that it's a tough call. Yes to everything you just said, Kendra. And I made some notes about the missing things, so thank you. So my next question for you all, do you think that we chose a fitting theme for this year's festival? That's the question, but also what did it mean to you when you saw that it was women in all their shapes and forms? Yes. And maybe Nina, do you want to take that?
Sure, yeah. I think it's sort of it's almost like an aspirational thing to me. I like the theme a lot. It made me think that we should value that type of representation as well, like it made me think specifically about women's bodies, and how sometimes outside norms dictate what women should look like. So I like the idea of allowing for representation of women who don't conform to maybe those standards, or in a gendered sense, maybe don't conform to like femininity in the way that we're typically supposed to think of that. Those are some thoughts that I had about the theme.
Thank you. Eva, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the theme was definitely fitting for this year's films. I thought it was, well, at least the student films that I watched fit greatly. I watched two that were sort of polar opposites, and I thought that that really fit the theme of different forms and different struggles, but still the same shared sort of recognition that the festival is trying to offer.
So I want to add, because I'm curious if any of you picked up on this. So when we were deliberating on the theme, yes, it was definitely the physical sense, like you said, Nina, but definitely about convention. There were a couple of films where I saw women who decided, the conventional life of growing up and, finding a partner and having children and just sort of, doing what we're supposed to do, being in the rat race for lack of a better term. That was not their destiny, right? And that in choosing not to conform, their lives are so much more difficult or so much more isolated. So there was the film from South Korea, Mother Young Soon, I think it's the name, which really stuck to me, where I saw this woman who got out of an abusive relationship and she's raising a son. And I think her life is 24/7 labor, basically, like providing for her son, providing for herself, being in a society that isn't really going to, doesn't really know how to deal with her because she's not represented by a man, all those things. But the price of freedom, it is priceless, right? Like she's willing to live a very difficult life because it's on her terms, and that is the most valuable thing. And I think in our world right now, whether it's Afghanistan or Iraq or in the United States or anywhere that there's a pushback against women's rights right now, like we have to remember that we have to make a decision. Is it a life of freedom and self-determination that we want? Because if we do it, it's not going to be pleasant necessarily, but I think these women remind us that it's worth fighting for, and life can still be fulfilling and beautiful even if it's hard, right? Because I think we're in this globalized world of social media and how life is supposed to look and all these things, and it's supposed to be so wonderful and beautiful and all the things that we see in our Instagram posts, right? But a life, I feel like these women were showing us what is a life well lived. How do you define that? And if it's as a woman on your own terms, that's very noble. And also the film of the two women who are raising bees and surfing, that movie like cracked me open. They were so incredible to me in the sense of like, they're just doing their own thing. They're like at one with the earth, and that's how they're finding their fulfillment. And they found each other, right? It seems like they have this perfectly symbiotic ecosystem that they've created for themselves. And I wanted to join them, quite honestly. So I just those were the two films to me that spoke to the theme of all their shapes and forms, of this idea that like the what women, like the trajectory we need to be on is to be able to define it for ourselves, right? And like and if we define it for ourselves, and that means we're not accepted in the places we would like to be or thought we would be once we realize those rights, are we able to be at peace with that? And that's really I don't know, just the incredible, yeah, that was just the incredible stuff that I witnessed in this film selection. Yes. Does anyone want to add or respond to that? Yes, Kendra.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, certainly I'm in the United States, and it's a rough time to be in the United States as a woman. And it's crazy to be in a culture that had been moving forward, feeling the backlash. But I think what's happening here is reverberating around the world. And so I think it's things that already were challenging are just amplified with that here. So I think it's absolutely the right time. I mean, the women's rights have been under threat for a long time, but I think they're especially under threat globally right now. So I think that choosing this theme right now was, like you said, there were many examples of inspiration and women thriving even under oppressive circumstances. And I think it's really so wonderful to see that and to feel that and to feel the pain of it, but also the strength and resilience of it right now is especially.
Yeah, that was very beautifully put. Rachel, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to add anything there?
I enjoy the theme because I sense that there's like there's different ways that you can interpret it, and it's like non-conventional in the sense that I love how, Nina, you mentioned you first thought your bodies, well, I thought about like our different roles as a woman, or the way that like women are unconventionally not one thing the way that most often we're perceived as. We're supposed to be this one thing, but in reality, most often our paths lead to different, forms and art forms and life forms. And I love how like it's up to your own interpretation as a person, and through your views and through your goals. So I really enjoy this theme, how it's unconventional and it's nuanced in the sense that you're able to get a hold of what it can be based on the films and all the stories that are being told.
Thank you, Rachel. It's kind of a good segue between Kendra and Rachel. So, um, in the lifespan of women's voices now, what's always been a little challenging, and as we've grown and gotten our messaging more sharp and better, this idea of a women's film festival that's a women's rights film festival. Like, so what's the value of a women's rights film festival, recognizing intentionally emerging women filmmakers? I'm wondering if you all feel there's a unique value to a film festival such as this. I obviously I assume yes, because you all said yes to this opportunity, but just to, I'd love to hear more about what this adds to the film festival scene, I guess, and, uniquely or samely and all that.
I can go. I really enjoy how most often I think filmmaking is such a collaborative experience, and it's a really beautiful way of being able to, express yourself. And most often we don't get the chance to see those crowds and see those people, coming together and sparking conversation. So just having this festival being for women by women is really beautiful in the sense that us as a community are able to, communicate and spark conversations about different topics, and as well just to connect and, network and grow that visibility, to, continue to pursue art, because, in this current climate, I believe that art is the only way of saving, our perception of what is happening around us. So I think it's really beautiful and really inspiring for us to, uplift each other, through the form of art.
Thanks, Rachel. Who else? Yasmin, I can't see you, so I don't know if you want to jump in or anyone else.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think there's definitely a unique value to the film festival that spotlights women's rights. I feel like just in general, living in a patriarchal society, a lot of the times women's topics and just films made by women in general are sort of not highlighted as much, I would say. And I feel like women's rights in films sometimes get swept under the rug when compared to other topics or genres. So I think having a film festival that specifically spotlights women's rights is a really important thing. And I think it's very unique. I've never really seen something like this before. So I think it's really, really great.
That makes me very happy to hear. Who else? Who else would like to add to that?
Well, I could just say briefly that I think this point about that Rachel you made about solidarity, or that was the word that came to my mind based on what you were saying. I don't think that you took that word, but that these are people who are fighting a fight often alone. The filmmakers are making their films often alone, sometimes over extended periods of time. And so many of us are isolated or even taking things personally and thinking that it's our failure or our inability to succeed or to break through the glass ceiling or whatever. And to come together and say, no, and to value this and to celebrate these journeys of these individual protagonists, of the individual filmmakers, and then us as a community, jury, film watchers, filmmakers. I think that in itself is also a political act. And so the fact that these are political films, they're political, sure, they're activist. And so we're sort of engaging in activism in that way and creating the solidarity and creating the community that does extend around the globe when we stop to think about it. And that's inspiring. And yeah, that's something they'd better be afraid of, because it makes us really strong, I think.
Kendra, you wanted to add. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I really appreciated what you just said, Sarah. So now I'm just pausing, letting it sink in. So our catalog that we distribute at Women Make Movies is very similar in that we focus on films by and about women and femme identifying people. And some of our stories are not necessarily most are also rights aligned for the reasons that Sarah just articulated, but some are not. That said, I scour catalogs all the time at film festivals all over the world, and I can tell you that even in festivals that program a lot of or some films, it's very hard. There are very few that program even 50% that are by women, but even the ones that are programmed by women, you have a far fewer segment that's also about the lived experiences of women. It's just, and very few non-women or non-gender conforming people tell stories about women. So the only people who are going to tell those stories are women or femme identifying people for the most part. And we very rarely see them as a collection. And I just think it's super powerful to see them as a collection for, I can't remember if it was Nina or Maha said it at the beginning, that like when you see, I think it was Maha was talking about you see all these different lived experiences around the world, and you see them one after the other. You see the connection in a way that you can't when they're separate, and you just see one. There's something powerful that happens in the collective experience, and I was really glad that you put them together in this way and did this. Thank you.
That's great. I really enjoyed that feedback. Palomi, yes.
Yeah, so just a word of caution, I also feel that this entire articulation of it is something of women filmmakers making films on women's rights, definitely for it. And we all know that the spaces are shrinking and very few of these spaces are available to women, but then we can't generalize or essentialize, women's experiential realities. So keeping that in mind, I think the essence of this festival is that it is simply not doing that. It's breaking a lot of stereotypes. It's really exposing a lot of, like, I don't know the kind of audience who will be seeing the kind of films for this festival, but I can assure you that a lot, like people from across the world will really benefit from watching these films.
I don't have the country breakdown about, so it's really incredible. This has been incredibly successful year. There's over 2,000 ticket holders for this festival, which is just amazing. And literally, thank you, Sarah. Yes, it's our digital growth strategist. He really proof of concept. He succeeded this year. From Singapore to the Congo to Belgium to California. I mean, like really, there are people all over the world tuning into this. And I can't imagine, like when the world is so polarized right now, I can't think of something better than getting in a room of films that are from all over the world to show our differences and our similarities, right? And to have deep appreciation for the shared human experience that we all have and the grit and resilience that we need to face the challenges. So yes, I agree. Like these films are very valuable on their own and as a collection, as a selection. And I'm really grateful to the people who invested resources to get tickets this year to see these films. Like it says like it speaks and the comments that people it spoke to sort of like the hunger and the need for connection and this desire to learn about people that are different from ourselves. Like that was really heartening to me that, it seems like it's really awful out there no matter where you go, but like people are still people and we have this human affinity toward each other because we are humans, right? We share that together. Yes. So I'm looking at the time. It goes really fast with you all. I could spend many hours talking to you all about all these things. Um, I'd love to know, so our filmmakers, they were invited, of course, to join today for this, to listen to the conversation, and we're not getting into specific film deliberations, but as a general work of selection of films, praise or critique to the filmmakers competing as a whole? What sort of broad stroke comments would you give based on what you saw? And I'd love for everyone actually to answer that. So I'll start with Maha, and then I'll go the other way on my screen.
Just the fact that it allows me to engage with diverse and powerful stories that might otherwise go unnoticed, but just the fact that we women, we have the same bodies, we have the same nervous system, we're experiencing this life in the same way, no matter where we're from, no matter our geographical position, we're just having this experience. And being a woman, I feel like you're gonna have a challenge no matter where you are. Just having that body and being a woman and standing for yourself, you're gonna have a challenge. And I feel like it's an incredible opportunity also to witness firsthand the creativity, passion, dedication filmmakers pour into their work. And I truly feel honored to be a part of the process that helps bring those stories to a larger audience, knowing that 2 years ago I was in a documentary that was in Women Voices Now. So yeah.
Thank you. So yes, go ahead.
And I feel like it's also challenged me to think critically about art and storytelling as an actor, and it gives me a chance to contribute to the celebration of voices that need to be heard.
Thank you, Maha. So I hear from you strengths from this film selection. There was creativity, there was passion, there was authenticity, and also gave you some inspiration for your own work as an actor. Those are very high compliments. So I hope all the filmmakers will hear that. Thank you. Rachel, you're up next.
Viewing these, I was trying to different. Do you want like a one word or just like general comment?
Whatever comes.
Whatever comes. Well, one thing I would say that came to mind was the word inspiring. Watching particularly the student films was really inspiring to see how much of our work is so beautiful with so little time, that we had in our careers or whatever. So it was just really inspiring to see that all these student filmmakers are able to achieve such beautiful, images and stories, and it's really inspiring, and I really just want to go out, just pick up a camera, but that's just how my brain works. But yeah.
I love that. So inspiring. That was a strength. Wonderful. Praise. Wonderful. Sarah, your turn.
This is praise for some, and it's a general comment, which is that, and particularly in political films, it is apparent. But in all films, obviously, there's multiple layers that we're doing. There's multiple levels of the story. There's the sort of the content. There's the message. There's the development of the characters. There's sort of the aesthetic of the music, the sound, the image. And my favorite films really were artistically quite ambitious and really quite impressively aesthetic. And so that's something that I just want to speak to, because sometimes I'll go to sort of political film festivals and walk away thinking, okay, well, that I got the message already after minute 10. And I think that the films I particularly loved and found really exciting, the message was there, the intensity of the emotions was there, but there were also this wonderful development of an aesthetic, and sometimes it was a very idiosyncratic aesthetic, and I loved that. So yeah, that was something I enjoyed greatly, and that's something that we can all continue to think about, obviously, as we continue to make films moving forward.
Wonderful. That's artistically ambitious and developing aesthetic. I love that. And that's some courage and bravery in filmmaking, as far as I'm concerned. Yes. Yes. Yasmin, you're up next.
I really enjoyed seeing the uniqueness of how each film was created. I love to see the creative decisions that each filmmaker decided to include. So their own personal styles of film. It was really, really wonderful to see each different film having a certain aesthetic, the way it was edited. It was really wonderful. And I also loved the vulnerability that quite a lot of the topics included. And I believe some of the films truly were based on reality, their own reality, the filmmakers' reality. And I think that was really, really beautiful to see. And for some of the films, I found myself wanting more. I found myself truly wanting to watch more of that film. And even after I finished watching the film, I found myself thinking of the film and wondering how could this topic or this issue be resolved? And I just think that's really wonderful that these films could get you to think more about women's rights and decisions around it, I think.
Thank you, Yasmin. So I hear from you for our filmmakers that you appreciated the unique approach, that they were very personal and vulnerable. And it sounds to me like if you were able to meet with them, you'd encourage them to definitely keep making their films and go even deeper into the topics that the topics of conversation they've started through their works. Wonderful. Kendra.
I felt like every film that I watched, it was clear that the filmmaker had really cared about the topic that they chose to cover. And obviously they each chose different ways to film. They chose different topics. They chose different ways to tell their story, different ways to connect with their protagonists and integrate them in. But there was just so much care. And I think that can't be undervalued because it isn't present in every film, but it was present in every film that I watched here.
Wow. Okay, that's great. So sincerity and genuine interest in the topics. And then also what I love about what you just said is that, it's one genre, documentary film, right? Like that's what we have, but there are so many ways to approach that genre, and that you saw that diversity of storytelling, which I think should also be encouraging for filmmakers, or yes, for aspiring filmmakers, or, for our student filmmakers in the room here. So sorry, 1 second. Um, to know that within telling a documentary film, you can do that in so many creative and unique ways. Thank you. Eva, your turn.
I think the most impressive thing that I've seen throughout this whole festival is that it's so difficult to get your idea out there and to make it become reality. I know just for myself, if I'm trying to make a film, it'll take me a long time to come up with ideas and to actually get it done. So that was like, if that would be my biggest praise. I think that getting pen to paper and getting everything done is so impressive, and getting your voice out there and even just applying to these festivals, that's a lot of work. So yeah, just the dedication to your craft and getting everything in your head into reality is a very difficult thing to do. So amazing job doing that.
Thank you, Eva. So making it happen, that's just truly just that basic thing. I agree with you. Like filmmakers are truly like magicians to me, because they create something that didn't exist before, right? And there are a million documentaries out there. No two are the same, right? And that's just such a beautiful, again, just a beautiful thing to notice about humankind, like the way we tell our storytelling, even if we have one common framework through which to do so, that the diversity in that storytelling is going to come through. So yes, thank you, Eva. Nina, your turn.
I guess maybe on the more constructive side, I had a kind of a practical thought that occurred to me as I was watching, which is that for a few of the films I saw, I felt like I didn't quite have maybe enough of a framework or context to like fully appreciate everything about the film, because maybe it's I wasn't as familiar or versed with the specific culture that was being depicted, or the history of the location, and or the specific initiative or program maybe that was being introduced. And I think this is like a really tough balancing act, because you also don't want to bog your film down with that kind of information, especially for the short docs that I was watching. I think it's hard to do that in like an elegant way. But this is maybe like the flip side of the amazing diversity across different cultures and geographical locations that we've talked about in this conversation, which I also loved about this festival, that it covers so much ground. And I don't know that I don't know that there's a good way to resolve that. It's just something that occurred to me, that this is like a hard thing to balance. Like how much background information do you have to give to the viewer, and how much can they infer from the film?
I'm so glad we had some constructive feedback. And my thought, I love to come up with solutions. I would recommend, from what you said, to our filmmakers, that have someone that knows absolutely nothing about the film that you just made watch it, and just have them give you some feedback about, I wish I had known this, this, and this, so that you like put me in the place to then receive the rest of the information. I think that could, because we get that tunnel vision, right? It's like you're so into the editing, you're so involved in this, you don't know what someone on the outside does or doesn't see. So maybe just asking a friend who's in a very different place than you to have a watch before, and then do your final editing round. That would be my, so that was great constructive feedback. Thank you, Nina. And Paulomi, last but not least.
Thank you. So I feel, all the films I've watched, they were beautifully crafted. I really felt that the storytelling was really powerful, political and passionate, all piece. Also, uh, I felt that in some of the films, the terrain was very difficult to shoot. So I was wondering, from the lens of the filmmakers, how was it like? What was it like to really shoot in those kind of situations? And the last thing I wanted to share was that some of it was really intimate, and very difficult and challenging. It's not easy to capture someone who's talking about an experience of sexual assault, for instance, but how it was really sensitively dealt with in a lot of films I watched. So that was also quite commendable.
Thank you, Paulomi. So I hear you saw the tenacity of the filmmakers to really tell the stories where they needed to be told, and not to put their subjects in a place that didn't feel like that would remove them from the experience, and that you saw overall sensitivity in what you watched. And that's really important. That's very beautiful. Well, everyone, we're 2 minutes over. I don't want to keep any of you more than necessary. Our next encounter all together will be behind closed doors to discuss further the films and to iron out any differences in opinion about who will win the cash prizes. And then on April 25th, all of our festival goers, we will all come together at 12 p.m. Pacific time for the award ceremony to congratulate the filmmakers, to meet our Women Making Waves awardee. I'm very excited for you all to find out about her next week, and then to meet her on April 25th. So I just want to express my very deep gratitude to each and every one of you. You are volunteer jury members. We do not take it for granted. You are giving your time and your emotions and your energies and your thoughts. And I'm very grateful that you are sharing this experience together, that we could all come together today. And thank you for giving such honor to the filmmakers for considering their work so deeply and so, sincerely. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the deliberation processes, that you continue to be part of the Women's Voices Now community. And I hope those of you in the later time zones go get some sleep. And I'm grateful to you all, and to those who are able to join us today. The recording will go out in about a week. And I wish you all a beautiful rest of the week. And thank you again so much for your time and your effort and your goodness and being here with me. Thank you so much.